Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about free CAD packages. So let's dive right into it. Now, why the heck this topic is important? Well, reality is the whole world is built on CAD, whether you like it or not. That's the reality of it. And it is used in every single field. I mean, every single field. Be it medical, be it electronics, be it aircraft, be it architecture, everything uses CAD nowadays, computer aided design. And you may be like, okay, I'm not a professional in those sort of field or that sort of workplace, but here's the deal. What if you have hobbies, for example, be it 3D printing, be it CNC, be it laser cutting? In all of these scenarios, you still need this. So it's one of those things that is becoming more and more useful set of things that you can learn. Again, if you are like a programmer who never wants to expand your horizon, that's one thing. But if you're like any person who's like doing anything nowadays, like, hey, I want to 3D print, here's the deal. 3D printers are cheap. You bought it, here's the deal. What the hell you do after that? You have to go to CAD. Same goes for CNC machine. Same goes for laser cutting. There are many companies that are giving you amazing laser cutting services. In India, I'm talking about. I literally got my first laser cut page. So reality is, it's here, and learning this sort of thing will give you a lot of capabilities. You may be able to do things that you never thought possible. It's a tool that can allow you to do things. So fundamentally speaking, it's a very important aspect. And what we are talking about, like, is it same as Max, Maya, or animation kind of thing? Well, no. Can you use those tools to make what you want? Well, yes or no? Because yes, you can make it. Yes, you can 3D print it. Yes, you can brute force that into your CNC system or in laser cutter, but those are not inherently designed for that. So there is a very good chance if you try to export those sort of file in there, good luck with that. So generally, it's not recommended. You have to go into what we call parametric modeling. Now, parametric modeling is basically defining the whole thing, whatever you are building, be it, let's say, a wheel, be it a heat sink, whatever have you, is designed by mathematics. And mathematics does not mean you have to do calculation. You simply says, okay, heat sink, that means fins. Fins, you define fins as like 15 fins, 20 fins. So if you have to change, let's say you're like, hey, dude, I don't think thermal performance is good enough. Or maybe our engineering says like, dude, it's too expensive to manufacture. You're like, what if I reduce the fin count? You just change one vector, it changes your whole structure. So that's the whole point. Parametric, meaning you define things as you move forward. You're like, wheel, okay, what is the diameter of the, you define that, then you move forward. Okay, rim, what is the rim dimensions? You define everything, and then you create what we call parametric model. So then you can do whatever you want with it. You can use lasers if you need to, use CNC if you need to, use basically 3D printing if you need to. So of course, you need a software that can do that. Now, one of the most popular software in this regard is Fusion 360. Now, why it's so popular? Because it's from some company that is equivalent to Adobe. When I say Adobe software, you know for a fact that it's a big company. Why? Photoshop is from there, After Effects from there, Premiere is from there. Many things comes under Adobe umbrella. So something similar happens in 3D world, that is Autodesk. Autodesk owns almost every 3D software package. For example, back in the days, there used to be like Max and Maya cams. Here's the deal, both are now owned by the same company, Autodesk. So, and not to mention, Autodesk was an engineering company first, meaning they built tools for CAD engineering first. So they were very proficient in that market. So they were growing, but there was another company that was growing in parallel and ironically even faster. That was SolidWorks. Now SolidWorks, that's why anytime you are seeing anybody who's dealing with any sort of CNC, they're like, do SolidWorks. Now SolidWorks is very popular, but here's the deal. How do you dethrone SolidWorks? You create awesome tool, you give it for free for students. So that's the whole point. The caliber of a tool that you can get in Fusion 360 in free package, it's god tier, meaning you can do amazing things with it. And if you are unable to do it, maybe there are some specific limitations, but most likely it's that you are not competent enough. It's a really high caliber tool that is available for free tier. It's like really powerful. Like, this is the example that of the thing that I'm talking about here. So, and what does parametric mean? Simply means everything is defined here. Basically, if I say, hey, this whole cutout that I want to do to reduce weight, maybe it's making structure too weak, I'm just going to change R9 value to, let's say, R8, meaning diameter I can change. You may be like, you know what, basically the shop that was laser cutting this for me, they were like, dude, you want M3 screws, I get it, but don't give the dimensions exactly 3 mm, give it like 3.2 or 3.5, so it has some wiggle room, so the sloppiness of lasering machine does not end up wasting your metal. So again, these sort of things you have to think about, but it will only be possible if you are dealing with parametric modeling. If you are making this in Max or Maya, can you do that? Yes, but changing those sort of structure, good luck with that. This is super easy, and I can change every aspect here. Everything is mathematically defined, everything I can change. However, and again, this is, I'm showing super complicated version just to give you an idea, but you can do something like a 3D modeling here. It's super easy. So it has very amazing UI. Basically, whoever did the sketch sketch pattern of this, really sat down and thought about it. Like, it's actually one of the best, and I have used few CAD software, so I can tell you from, like, again, except SolidWorks, but this is really good. Like, somebody sat down and was like, let me put the might of the great Autodesk in order to like make the UI useful, and it is useful. The UI, like, once you start to figure out that you can relation everything to everything else, you're like, damn. Like, people have done some amazing thing. Basically, you can have a whole structure that changes its dimension. You are just changing size. Medium changes everything. Large changes everything. Because proportion, you can lock that. So that's awesome. So great parametric tool. Now, it does have some limitations in free tier. Of course, there is a paid version that is like around 4,000 rupees. Like, who the hell come up with this? Like, 4,009 rupees. What the hell? Dude, reduce that 9 rupees. It's like, what the hell? That's just stupid. 4,000 rupees you should have been like 4,000 done, go home. Yearly is 31,000 rupees, 800. And the reason why I'm talking in Indian currency, it's maybe different in yours. So just look at that. It's online. So 90,000 rupees is 3 years. That is like best value, but that's a lot of money. But it has everything, meaning it has a rendering farm, like a rendering package built into it, so you can utilize that for rendering efficiently, meaning you don't have to show basic models to someone. You can have models that have lighting, shadows and all that jazz if you need to. So it does have some limitation. For example, 10 active docs, meaning if you are working as a laser cut of shop owner, not an issue. You can just like, I design this, show it to client is happy, I want to cut it, done, delete the file, don't worry about it. But if you are dealing with some large assemblies where you have like, jet engine, and one person is responsible for turbine blade, one responsible is for bearings, you may be surprised how quickly you end up with active files that are like more than 10. Then it will be limited export option. That again, in that regard, Fusion 360 went overboard recently as in like 1 or 2 years ago. They wanted to ban step file also, export in free tier. Everybody started to leave it simply because step file is the file that goes into your 3D printer slicing software. So they were like, the moment you block that, at that point in time, the software becomes useless. So they reverted back that software because too much backlash happened. It's like, dude, we know you want to make money, but don't call something free if it's like completely broken. It's like, at that point in time, it's just a demo version. So it had enough backlash. And again, if you want maker community to use your tool, you have to, give or take. So this sort of limitation, does it make it difficult to use Fusion 360? Not for beginner, not for even intermediate. Unless you are doing something very dedicated, very high, large scale, then only this sort of things will be an issue. The export option might be annoying, but it can be worked around. So this is Fusion 360. Like, I have spent some years into it, and it's a really capable tool. Now, that is a CAD package that runs on your computer, meaning your computer has to be good. If your computer is not really good, don't expect to like design super amazing, like, Titanic into it. Your computer is going to go poof. So what if you need something more agile? Onshape. Now, Onshape is a CAD package that is completely on the net, meaning you are just using a terminal on your computer. You're not doing the whole crunching. Your CPU users will be very minimal. So it's cloud-based system. Very easy to use, and it has cloud backed system, meaning every file you create is backed up in the cloud. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to like, oh, I did it, crashed somewhere. No, every crash step would be saved till the last step, meaning if it's 200 step, 201 step crashed it, last 200 steps will be saved properly without any issue. You don't have to think about it. And this is like the same part I created because I specified it does not have Fusion 360 does not allow DXF export directly. You have to unflatter metal and then directly transport that to DFX output. Is very issue, DXF output. So I jumped into this Onshape. Now you have to understand, I have jumped from many software. Like, I have used Max, I have used Maya, I have used Fusion 360, I have used Onshape. And the fact how hard it is to jump into that software defines like how well thought out it is. This software I picked up in minutes. Like, fundamentally, it's surprisingly easy. Now, yes, I'm familiar with that mindset is required of like CAD. Again, once you use those sort of, you'll be like familiar. But if you're coming from, let's say, modeling perspective, it will take some elbow grease to get into this. But once you think in CAD terms, you will be like, oh, I got this. It's really good. Like, this whole part took me barely 2 hours to make. And that is me first time. First time I'm getting this done in like 2 hours, and not to mention I messed up because this part is a bit offset on the positive direction. So that was an issue. Again, didn't manage to solve it. So it has almost no limit. Like, if Fusion 3 says, you can't do this, you can't do it. No, this puppy is like, go YOLO, man. You go YOLO on it. Don't think too much about it. But now you may like it. It also has a paid version. For example, Enterprise Contact Us. Professional, $2,100 a year. That's some big money. Bare minimum, $1,500. That's around 1 lakh rupees, more than that annually. So that's some expensive boy. It's like, if they have paid version and they give you everything in free version, then what's the catch? Catch is your work is not your own. It's your public domain work. Meaning, if you build, like, for example, this is laser cutting pattern that I built for this stuff. This file is now out there. Anybody can look at it, copy it, and do modification if they need to, and then you just make it. So if you are a company who's like trying to make a product and you're using this, pay for this, because let's say your competitor knows that for a fact that, hey dude, I think, let's say this is a gearbox, let's say planetary gearbox. You are two companies who are making planetary gearbox. You're like, dude, which software they are using, and let's say some ex-employee tells them, yeah, they are using Onshape. They will try to figure out everything, and they're like, oh, this is the gearbox they have modified. Copy paste, done. Modify a little bit so patent won't be an issue, done, go home, your work would be ripped. Now again, that's not an issue for 99.99% of people, but you may not be comfortable with it, so be mindful, and that's the catch. And another aspect is, I'm lucky enough where I live in a place, even though it's a very small town, it does have luxury of Geo Fiber, meaning I can get 300 Mbps connection. That's my current connection, and I can pay upwards of a lot of money to get 1 Gbps connection. So I can rely on this sort of software because I know for a fact that I have a very good uptime, very fat pipe. You may not have that. You may be in a position where your internet is very buggy, it drops out a lot, it's not fast enough. So you may be in a scenario where it's like Onshape may not be right tool for you. So what if you don't want any hidden gotcha? FreeCAD is your thing. Now it's 100% free. Now being free does not mean anything. Free simply means I'm giving you for free. For example, Instagram. Is it free? Absolutely. Is it open source? Hell no. Now open source matter. Open source simply means even if the people who are working behind FreeCAD, let's say they leave that project, no problem. Everything you need to run this thing will be in your own desktop, and you can look inside it. It's not locked, it's not DRM'd. You can look inside it. If you have programmer, you may be like, hey dude, can you code this thing? I need this sort of function. It's like, dude, we got this. Source is available, open, and that's how people are working into and trying to make it better. So it's truly free, truly open source, meaning you don't have to worry about any gotcha, hidden, anything. You don't have to think about it. And it's a complete package. You may think it's just maybe just a CAD system. No, it has CAD options. It has CAM options also, meaning same as Fusion 360. So, and you can even do simulation. So it's surprisingly powerful. It's like goddamn powerful, but it does not have good UI. And this is one of those things that is very difficult to understand, but as I get older, I understand it far more, is that making a tool is child's play. Making a tool that is easy to use, that is painful. Meaning, why did Nikon, which is a much older company, like I think it's around 100 years compared to 85 years of Canon, how the heck Nikon got bitch slapped by Canon? Well, reality was user interface. Nikon always had better digital cameras, but they always had for example, I bought D800, my friend bought I bought 800D, he has bought like D5300. Yes, you can have live view in both of them. In one, you will get preview. Canon will give you preview. If you're changing ISO, it's gonna give you that feedback. In Nikon, it does not give feedback. And that's the whole point. If you do not have good user interface, I am using the damn software. If the software is difficult to learn, 99% chance I'm gonna close it, which I did with this. So I did use this. Did got some distance with it, but then I just Alt F4'd it and uninstalled it. It's very difficult to learn the user interface. Now, I do not blame that because Autodesk is a giant company. Onshape is made by people who literally made SolidWorks. So I get they have the oomph to actually make user interface that does not want you to do this. This, on the other hand, does require some elbow grease, does require some patience. Now, again, different people are different kind of scenarios. Some people are like, I'm patient, like I can actually grind my way through it. If you are those sort of person, you can do god tier things. Like you can go places, literally speaking with this. It can do a lot of work. Like fundamentally, you will be surprised. Like as a free package, everything it can do. Like this CAM operation is a very critical thing, and you can do wow kind of things with this. Now it does scale up without money. That's another benefit, meaning because everything is done locally, you can have put a Threadripper in your closet, a network closet, and be like, okay, let's run simulations in that. You can do that also. So it scales up very effectively, meaning let's say you are opening a startup company, you have to penny pinch everything, basically hold on to every single dime. If your software license is consuming a lot of money, that is painful. But here it's like everything is like, yeah, you are still paying for it. Be mindful of that. You are not paying in terms of money, you are paying in terms of time. Now, if you have a group of people who are willing to spend some time, learn this thing, then they are like, dude, we got this. We got this. At that point in time, we got this. We don't think too much about it. We got this. And if you have programmers who can like directly dive into the codex, you can even refine the UI and share it with a community package. That's possible. So FreeCAD is the ultimate tool, but it's a very painful tool. So it's up to you whether you want it or not. So which package should you choose? These are three: Fusion 360, FreeCAD, and Onshape. Which one should you choose? Well, reality is know thyself, meaning you should understand what exactly is your need. Why exactly are you jumping into CAD? Are you jumping into CAD as in like just lol? use whatever you want. If you're jumping into CAD and like, you're an engineering student, you are planning for making a startup company, or you want to have something where it's like, you have a job, but you are like, dude, over time, I do want to make my own company, jump into FreeCAD. Because FreeCAD, while it's painful, if you really grind through it, you will learn far more if you learn use these sort of tools, because many tool limitations, they know that users are stupid, so they encode around it. It's like, oh, user did something stupid, I'm gonna save it. CAD will like crash your system. So in CAD scenario, you have to learn, okay, this is why it crashed, this is how, like basically there is no training wheel in FreeCAD. So you can learn surprisingly a lot, and people have done amazing things. It's not like, oh, nobody's here. No, people have done amazing things with this. So in those sort of scenario, you may enjoy this. So Fusion 360, super easy to learn. That's like, I have learned it talking from experience. If you're coming from Blender and things of that nature, be mindful. CAD requires you to think a bit differently. So it will take some time, but once you get into that, once you have in the CAD mindset, done, go home. Super easy. Large community, meaning you have any problem. It's like, how do I bend sheet metal? Type that, YouTube will give you hundreds of tutorials on that. So that community also matters. So that's the good of Fusion 360. Then we come to Onshape. Now Onshape, super easy to learn, really powerful and all that, but it's online only. Now that could be a two-edged sword. If you have a lame computer, at that point in time, shut up and take my user data. But if you're working in a company, that may not be desirable. But again, let's say you're running a small shop for laser cutting, and it's like, acrylic cuttings for decorations, all that. Yeah, cut Tanu and Manu, and it's like, lol. Yeah, good luck wasting your material on that. So if you are not dealing with user sensitive information, go with Onshape. FreeCAD, powerful, but it will take a lot of time to learn. So there are no free lunches. Each of them will give you something free, something paid. Again, it's up to you what you want to do. Like for every startup, I would urge them to go jump into FreeCAD, because again, it's a long-term solution. It's like, yeah, I have this package, and let's say your company becomes big, you can literally hire programmers who can just work on this and just like, hey, we are, let's say, multi-million-dollar company. How about we spend little bit of that to make the software really more powerful, really more polished, and share it with the community? That will create more feedback loop. That's why Linux is so popular in server industry. So it's up to you. Know thyself. Understand what you want. Like for most people, I would say Fusion 360 is a good start. For people who want to export a lot, jump into Onshape, especially if you have good internet. For people, power users, jump into FreeCAD. So this was my presentation on basically FreeCAD packages. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.